Sinners. Welcome back again to Saturday Night Cinema. As always, I am your host, Sawyer St. Sun. So, I'm really excited about tonight's movie. It's a movie that a lot of people don't like. A lot of people criticize very heavily. But I love it. I mean, it's funny and ridiculous and just everything that is, I guess, people don't want to see in their horror movies. But, so, Stephen King's masterpiece of horror, directed by the master himself. So, we're talking about Maximum Overdrive. So, written and directed by Stephen King. It is based on a short story. That's the word. Short story called Trucks. And if you, had seen over there on my Facebook page, I sent out a trailer of the movie. And it's him saying, if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. Now, a lot of people think that he didn't do so hot. And, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But, again, I think it's great. So, the release date is July 25th, 1986. So that's like a year before I was born. But just to kind of tell you some of the contenders that year that he was up against, there's a lot of heavy hitters that came out that year. We've got Troll, Chopper Mall. If you haven't seen Chopper Mall, check it out. It's kind of funny. Critters, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. House, Henry, Poltergeist 2, Aliens, The Fly, Night of the Creeps, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and I guess some people don't really consider this a horror movie, but Little Shop of Horrors. All the theater kids are like, yay! And everyone else is like, you mean that thing with Rick Moranis and the Venus flytrap? That? Anyways. I'm hoping to do a musical horror, later on. Might come up. Because I'm a geek for some musicals. So let's get on to the cast. First off, in our starring hero right off the bat, we got Emilio Estevez. Sorry. I just really like to say his name, and I will probably say his name like that until I die. Then we have Pat Hingley. I'm sorry if I butcher that. He's Hendershot, the owner of the truck stop that everything, 99.8% of the movie happens in. Then we have Laura Harrington. I'm sorry. I don't know why that looked funny to me. Laura Harrington as Brett. She is a hitchhiker who ends up, at the truck stop and then very quickly falls in love with Emilio. Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh, I got so hung up on Emilio's name that, I didn't tell you his character. It's Bill. It's very easy. And then we have Yardley Smith as Connie. Now, if you thought she was annoying as Lisa Simpson, She is really annoying in this movie. Which, I mean, I understand. I get it. You know, you're a newlywed and like the fucking like apocalypse seems to be like happening. I would be upset too. I think it's mainly just that, you know, that Lisa Simpson like nagging voice. Just constantly nagging. Curtis! Feel sorry for Curtis. For like, you know, the rest of his life. Then we have Curtis himself, John Short. He's like our secondary hero. He really likes, you know, is right there behind Bill, just trying to figure out how to stay alive. Which, again, I don't know if I was a newlywed that I would try to be doing that much. Like, I mean, hey, it's my honeymoon. Let me go see if I can get ran over by a truck. I mean, come on. Weird. And then we'll round it out with Miss Ellen McElderduff. Y'all, I'm really bad with names, and I am so sorry about that. But that is Wanda Jane. And she's the waitress. She gets her hand cut by an electric knife. That was really gross. And she has a little bit of a mental breakdown, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, I found this funny because they were actually nominated for 2 Razzie Awards in 1987. One for Worst Actor, which, you know, Emilio was nominated for. And then Worst Director, which, you know, of course was Stephen King. But they ended up losing that year. Dang. But the person who won for both of those, you know, there's this this legendary music artist. His name is Prince. You know, don't know if you heard of him. But he directed and starred in a movie called Under the Cherry Moon. I've never seen it though, so I can't tell you if, like, you know, him winning for Worst Actor and Worst Director was warranted. But I mean, I love Prince, and, you know, Purple Rain was fucking fantastic. I mean, who doesn't love Morris Day at the time? Am I right? Oh, wee, oh, wee, oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe for another time. Anywho, that brings us to the soundtrack, which, I mean, the only thing you need to know is AC/DC. AC/DC. AC/DC did all of the music for this movie. Now, I mean, a lot of it was remastered, not necessarily new for the movie, but there were 3 new songs for the movie. Of course, the main song, the song of songs for this movie, Who Made Who? Wanda yells that out. Well, she doesn't yell that out, but she has something around that happens with her mental breakdown. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then DT was made for this movie. And so was Chase the Ace. And y'all are probably like, what? I've never heard of those. I don't think they play them on the radio. But, like, you know, Who Made Who was, like, you can hear that all over the place. Classic rock stations blaring that out all the time. And now, you know, this movie, of course, came out after Bon Scott had unfortunately passed away. But Ride On in the movie still features his lead vocals for that. They didn't have Brian Johnson like redo that song, so they kept Bon in there, which I felt like it was a really like nice touch, and it just felt like, you know, it felt good to like have them honor him in that way of keeping him in, you know, in the song. Now, I'm going to put my notes down and let's start talking about the movie and the points. Y'all, I'm just going to bullet points. We're not going to go through the whole movie, just some little bullet points. So, I guess let's start off with how we open it. I mean, some critics are like, think Stephen King right off the bat, like, you know, you told us to go fuck ourselves, because the bank does say, fuck you, like across the digital, like, you know, running screen. And Stephen King gets his appearance, like his cameo, boom, out, straight out the box. First, like, 2 minutes of the movie. Maybe 3. Anyways, he's going to the ATM trying to get some money out. And the ATM just keeps telling him he's an asshole. And he does. He's like, hey. I don't remember what he calls his wife. He's like, this machine just called me an asshole. And then we move on. Oh, they're in North Carolina. So if I start doing like, you know, like real country accents, that's because they in North Carolina. And so our next scene is at a drawbridge. You know. I mean, you know, in cities that are close to, you know, ferryways and stuff, you see those. So the 2 idiots manning the thing are not even paying attention to anything at all. They're playing a card game. But, like, the bridge starts to rise. And, you know, the guards and the stop, you know, stop's not happening and the guards aren't going down. So people just keep driving. And so, you know, death ensues there. We got a motorcyclist that just falls right off into the water. We have a whole truck full of watermelons just dumping watermelons out on the cars behind him. There was an AC/DC van that got demolished. Just all kinds of craziness just happening. And cut to the charming little truck stop. One guy is standing in the arcade and all of the machines are like flashing and going. One machine in particular is flashing several different types of shapes. It was pointed out to me that a lot of those shapes are in this like card deck that you can test for like telekinesis and ESP. So that was kind of weird. It was like it was trying to hypnotize him, it seemed like, you know. The coin machine is just like spitting out change and he's trying to like grab that all up. And the cigarette machine, you know, I mean, some of y'all might remember that. Some of y'all might be too young. But like, you know, they basically vending machines for cigarettes. It was spitting those out left and right. So of course he's like, coffee machine, spitting out coffee everywhere. He's just trying to stuff all he can into his pockets and try to get out there. But that one machine like hypnotizes him and he touches it and it just like electrocutes the shit out of him. They find him like back on the wall. It shot him across the room. We learn that Hendershot basically has Bill under his thumb because Bill's an ex-con, and if Bill doesn't do what Hendershot says, he's back off to prison. Which, you know, I mean, Bill's working 9 hours, only getting paid for 8 of them. Listen, I'd be pissed too. I want my money. But so they realize that like the grill at the truck stop isn't working. And then Wanda gets her hand cut or her arm cut by the knife. And then it like starts trying to go after her shoes and Bill just grabs a hammer and fucking demolishes that. Well, then a trucker shows up. And he's got one of the best goddamn cars I've ever seen in my life. Y'all might know what I'm talking about. And again, if you see my Facebook, you seen what truck I'm talking about. It's the Happy Toys truck. with the Green Goblin face. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Green Goblin face. It's pretty slick. I need to find like some kind of toy of that somewhere for my collection because he's fantastic. Love him. Love him. Also, inside of that truck later, you see that there's like a little Jack in the Box. And when he pops up, he's the Green Goblin too. Y'all, that combines my love with Spider-Man and this movie all tied up together. I need it. So, like, you know, trucker's just like, hey, fill her up. And so Duncan, one of the, you know, gas station attendants, goes out to fill up the tank and it just stops. He's like, what's going on? So he's looking in it, trying to figure out what's up, and then all of a sudden it just pss, diesel fuel right in his eyeballs. Man, that's rough. While we're talking about Duncan, let's just flip right on over to another little character that's here. It's Duncan's son. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. But he's at a baseball game, and his coach goes to get them all soda pop. Well, the soda machine just starts nailing the coach with cans. Like, death by soda vending machine, y'all. Like, just the huge gash in his head, shaped like the bottom of a soda can. Rough. And not only that, but like kids are getting hit with it too. You know what I'm saying? And then like there comes a steamroller. A steamroller. Out of nowhere, here comes a steamroller. Steamrolls over a kid. Now, Stephen King, I have a question. What's with you and running over kids? I mean, this movie, Pet Sematary. I mean, you got another, you know, movie about cars called Christine. I don't get it. What? Anyways. So, Duncan, like, hightails it out of there. And as he's, like, going to see, like, you know, to find his dad, he notices, like, lawnmowers with blood on them, a fucking Volkswagen that just, like, rammed into a telephone pole and killed somebody. Then he witnesses an ice cream truck driving itself. There's even a guy who got killed by his Walkman. Yeah, y'all remember those with the cassettes and the headphones? Yeah. Got killed by one of those. Anyway, so like Duncan's like, you know, trying to get to his dad, and then cut to our married couple. You know, first off, I don't know how their car like didn't turn on them. First off, never in the movie did their car turn on them. This is another classic example of like, you know, storytelling just to fit the narrative of them. Here's, you know. Anyways. Because if their car would have turned on them, then I wouldn't have had to hear Curtis for the next hour and a half. Maybe it wasn't an hour and a half. Maybe it was just an hour. I'm just saying. Gosh, just hearing her nag Curtis was driving me nuts. That's the only thing I don't like about this movie, y'all. But anyways, so they need gas. So they pull up to the gas station. They see a dead dude, and he's like going to investigate. And then like a tow truck, like really old tow truck. We're talking like, okay guys, y'all seen Cars? Because this is going to sound funny. Just bear with me a moment. But y'all seen that movie Cars? You know, the Pixar movie? You know, Tater, the tow truck. Yeah, he was like that old of a tow truck. So he sees it like start up and pull, and then it comes after Curtis, because Curtis doesn't realize that there's nobody in there. So it comes after Curtis, and luckily he's able to, like dive out of the way before being smashed by, a big ass truck. But so like he goes back over to, where Connie is, and they hear the truck like starting to like try to start up again and like back up, so they like get in the car and hightail it out. Well, then they get on the freeway, and there's an 18-wheeler that's like chasing them and like trying to bump them, and they like swerve off, and they like trick it, I guess you can say, and it like runs off the road and like explodes. And it didn't even go that far, y'all. Like, just the shoulder of an exit off the interstate. It's not a whole big area there. It just kind of like explodes. It must have had some mechanical problems beforehand. Anyways, so some more people die. Like, I mean, that's just how it is. Like, the Bible salesman that's in this, he dies. He actually gets like backed into, right, and like rolls off into a ditch. He doesn't fully die, but by the end he dies. Duncan, that poor kid's dad, he gets run over because, he can't see, but he wants to go find his son, and he doesn't see the trucks like coming for him, so he dies. And then we learn that Hendershot has like a shit ton of weapons in the basement of a truck stop. Yeah, like military style weapons, y'all. Military grade. So that's kind of, I mean, they use the bazooka a couple times to, blow up stuff, which is good. And then again, also I don't understand, because I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to be like blowing bazookas like in a truck stop where there's God knows how many gallons of diesel fuel. Seems to me like you just blow up everything, but whatever. So our 18-wheelers here at the truck stop that have been parked are circling like around the pumps. They're just circling, like waiting for something. Not sure what. And so the newly married couple like they see a break, in the trucks, and they try to gun it. Well, they get clipped a little bit. They flip over. Bill and Brett come out and save them and get them inside. Wanda has a mental breakdown, like I had said before, and she runs outside and she's like, "We made you!" Just yelling that over and over. So the first time she does that, Bill saves her dumb butt and gets her back inside. Then the next day comes. And here comes a bulldozer and like some kind of military something. I'm not really for sure what it's called, y'all. But something that has like a gun on it, I mean, it literally looks like a platform with wheels and a steering wheel and a gun. Very simple. There's not even a seat. So you just gotta stand up the whole time. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Anywho, so, I mean, the bulldozer, like, pushes a car into, the front of the diner area of the truck stop. And Hendershot thinks he's going to be a badass and shoot the bazooka, when all that he did was shoot the covering of the bulldozer off. Like, nothing that was actually going to, like, stop it from functioning. And then, the automatic rifle just started fucking shooting in there. Killed Hendershot. He's dead. And then Wanda Jane gets the big idea that she's gonna grab the bazooka and she's gonna go out there in front of, you know, the machine gun and the bulldozer, and she gonna yell some more, "We made you!" Well, I mean, that pisses off the gun. The gun kills her. As it kills her, she shoots off the bazooka into God knows where. And then the little military car starts doing Morse code. And guess what? Duncan's kid is finally with them now in the truck stop, and he knows Morse code. Turns out the trucks just want them to fuel them up. Yeah. The trucks are like, "Hey, bitches, come on, fill us up with some fuel." You know what, trucks? You know what you could have done? You could have stopped circling the building, because that would have saved you some fuel. First off, obviously, they're smart enough to like make a group, a herd mentality, you know, pack thing, but not to just waste gas by circling all night. Plot holes. It doesn't make sense. Anywho, so they do. They start to fuel up. But Bill has a plan. Because, I mean, Bill's smart anyways. You know, he got that ex-con brain, you know. I don't know, Hendershot keeps calling him like, you know, college boy, or, you know, something about him going to college and, you know, whatever. But, I mean, he's a survivor. He knows how to survive. He knows how to survive. So they have an idea. They have an idea. And they're going to get a boat. Sailboat. None of that electrical shit. Sailboat. And they're going to go to an island that there are no motor vehicles allowed on. Like, remote ass island off the coast of North Carolina. So, I mean, you know, they have their anarchy moment. Things are crazy. They all go through the shower drain, which, come on y'all, let's be real. A shower drain in a truck stop, how nasty that can that be? You know what I'm saying? It's probably real gross. Probably real gross. So, they get everybody out. But the trucks are realizing that they're fucking leaving. So they like ram into the showers, but like luckily all of them had gotten out at that point. So the trucks just start going crazy, and they start just like ramming into the truck stop, just going nuts. And an oxygen tank like is the main one that like smashes into the truck stop. And I'm assuming because of something, you know, electrical that he hit. I mean, just hitting in there like tore something off, and there was oxygen leaking, and it was probably like something to do with like, you know, all of the cooking equipment that they had in the diner. It just, well, there's no more truck stop. It just blew up. Just blew up. Now, they're trying to stay like in the woods, off the roads, because, you know, Green Goblin isn't just gonna let them like hang out and get away. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna try to, you know, cut them off at the pass. So at one point they have to get, you know, we gotta We got to get into town to get to the marina where the boat is. And there is like a burger joint. And the speaker just starts yelling, humans here, humans here, humans here, humans here. And Duncan's son, that little boy, just like took all of his rage of his dad dying out on on that speaker. It was great. He was like, "This is for my dad." He had like a full Scarface moment with that machine gun. It was pretty good. And then he was like, "I don't need this anymore." Oh God, that was great. And so they get to the marina, and one of the dudes sees like this dead lady in her truck, and he's just got to have the ring that's on her finger because it's huge and gaudy and whatever. And who should show up? Yeah, Green Goblin runs his ass down, just mauls his ass. But everybody else is able to get onto the boat and over to the island. So you might be asking yourself, what made the machines go crazy? Right? Okay, so in the movie they had a theory about the comet that had just passed over Earth. They were going to be in the trail of this comet. Earth was going to be in the tail of this comet or meteor, something like that. Rita M is what they called it, for 12 days. And they were like, maybe it's this. And then like Emilio started talking about aliens. And like, well, you know, like an alien planet, like what if their like, you know, system was uninhabitable and like they wanted to like wipe out a race in a planet that was habitable, right? And like at the time that this is said, you're like, really? We're gonna do the aliens thing? Yeah, they did the aliens thing, y'all. At the end, it gives us, you know, because I mean, what does an author like to do? Author likes to make you read. So at the end, it does, you know, state that like 7 days later, like, or 3 days later, like a UFO like arrived and was gunned down by the government. And then like 7 days, you know, total, the Earth was in the comet's tail. And that like after they got out of the tail, like basically everything was cool and we were trying to rebuild. So, aliens. So, yeah, aliens. But I've actually talked with some people, you know, some friends and coworkers, and we would be interested in like a remake of this with like today's technology, you know? Because back in 96, like, or 86, gosh, sorry, got that wrong. Back in 86, there weren't like cell phones in everybody's hands. There weren't smart watches on most of the population's wrists. There weren't Alexas and home systems that controlled like everything down to the like 0.5 degrees of your house. Like, could you imagine of like, you know, the smart technology that some people have in their homes, just being able to lock down their entire house and crank up the heat, or crank down the heat, you know, crank that AC down to where like you freeze to death or you burn alive, one of the two. Just saying, we've got some really like, you know, some really crazy technology nowadays that, you know, I think just, hey, out there, internet world, you know, maybe we like rethink it with like today's technology. I mean, come on, they did it. They did a remake of It to be more like, you know, current. Why can't we do Maximum Overdrive? Why can't we see a Tesla kill somebody? Just saying. would be cool. I mean, what do you say? I mean, I would do it if, you know, I had enough money to film and, you know, get copyrights and things of that nature. But yeah, I don't have that kind of money. I mean, you see my set here? He's beautiful. We'll talk about you one day, I promise. Anyways, that is it for tonight, sinners. You know, coming up pretty soon, don't know if it'll be next week or not, but coming up pretty soon, I kind of want to do a grouping of a couple of movies. You know, maybe look into some like kitty cat horror. Huh? Like I said, I don't know if it'll be next week or a couple weeks down the road, but that's on my noggin. I'm excited. Found a movie that we've been wanting to watch for a very long time, finally. So, be looking forward to that. Have a great night, and I will see you next week.